not be conventional and make the choices he wanted to make. I mean, after that, you work with Phil Lynott, which isn't the immediate thing that you go, oh yeah, Junior Phil Lynott goes perfectly together. It's like two different genres somehow making, you know, something very special, but also being something that I imagine the record company just flipped out about.
They couldn't hang at all. When we finished, first track we did was "A Lady Just Loves to Dance." I still love that song, and we did the song, and the management presented it, and the comments were back were like, you know, he's from rock and he's from pop soul. Nobody's gonna go for this, right? You know, and plus he's a black guy, and that was what killed me and Phil when we came back. And they said, plus he's a black guy, and Phil said, so which one of us?
Brilliant. They just woken up. Christ.
It was brilliant. But that's how it was.
I mean, mentioning that track, I listened to it today, and what I love about it is you can hear both of you separately. Do you know what I mean? I can hear Phil Lynott in that track, I can hear Thin Lizzy in that track, and I can hear you in that track. And interestingly enough, wasn't it Tony Visconti that had already produced and worked on that track, who obviously worked with Bowie? That's probably the biggest name that he'd worked with in his career. And it was a track that really, with those combinations, you know, Tony Visconti, you, Phil Lynott, you know, Thin Lizzy, it's like, how can you not release these songs? So what
they just didn't we I think we did about 4 or 5 songs together, and they just weren't having it. They just weren't having it. That they would not take on board what we were doing. You know, they poo-pooed it all the way along. And in the end, it was a bit like, I think Phil had to go back out on the road or something, and I hadn't seen him for a while after that, you know, because at that time, it was like a concerted effort to get this project done. You know, we had John Sykes from White Snake on guitar and stuff. You know, we had a great array of musicians on this. And we'd go around by Phil's and we'd rehearse around there. Lemmy would be there as well. So it was amazing. But as I said, for me, it's always been about the music. As I said, my environment from being a child was not about it being pop, rock, this, that, even though this is what I'm hearing. It was, I like that Take 5 track, Dad. I like that Mahalia Jackson track, Mum. Boy, that Wilson Pickett's really, do you get what I'm saying? I love that Beatles track. That's where I was coming. So going into being, Phil and I met up Coco's, and Phil comes up and Phil says, Junior, I want to make a record with you. I want to do something different. So I'm like, what do you want to try and do? He said, I want to do something that's soulful, but I still want it to be within the Lizzy vibe. So I was more than up for that. Come on, let's go. Let's give it a try. Let's see what we're going to do. Who knows, right? Plus, for me as well, the other side of my mind is thinking, wow, when people see this, Junior and Thin Lizzy and, you know, Tony Visconti, so my head was already there, just like yours, right? I could see this, right? You know, that whole thing would have exploded, but just because of color, they wouldn't put it out. And that was, as I said to you, when you start to understand what you're in, because it's like you would be going to a meeting, for instance, and they're talking about marketing your record, but they're telling you, after you've just done, Mama used to say, you sold maybe 10, 12, 15 million albums and singles, and they're telling you that the most that they can spend is 25 grand on you, because ABC are coming out with their second album, right? Which they, the record company, are telling me they know isn't as good as mine, but the budget's 1.25. So you sit there and you can't actually believe that these people have the gall to be looking in your face and telling you that even though you sold more records than this band, they're getting 1.25 million to promote their record. And for your next album, you're getting 25 grand. So you start to fully grasp and you pull back, because you start realizing that, like, no matter what you sell, no matter what you sell and the quantities of what you sell, the backing from the record company to continue to make sure that that thing is rolling will never be there, because you didn't start, what Mummy used to say, by them actually promoting the record. The record broke in America through a DJ, so the record company in America never spent money. So everybody's making this money, right, out of this record, but nobody wants to plug back in. Do it again, Jude.
Amazing. The, as fans and consumers of music, from my perspective, okay, obviously someone like Phil Lynott, you know, had an enormous fan base, had a lot of people that just loved his music. And when someone of that caliber dies, it has a big impact on the fans. For someone like you who worked closely with him, and I presume, you know, you considered him a friend and a confidant because you'd worked so closely with him over quite a few years. How did his death impact you? And how, I don't know what the word is, how tragic is it that such creative minds have a tragic end, and they have had often in the music business over the years?
I think the pressure can get to you sometimes, and addiction. But my love for Phil runs deep, very deep. His loss was a huge loss to me, because I could talk to Phil away from everything. And it always end up with some Irish joke, right, that he'd have to tell me the meaning of and stuff. It would just crack up laughing. He was wonderful for me. He really was. And he taught, I remember talking about writing songs with him. And he said to me, I said to him, how do you manage to do those songs where you're doing 100 miles an hour, right? And you're doing half time in there. How's that work? You know, your tracks going there and you're going there, but your vocal is throwing the whole thing into another place. He said, half time, Junior, half time. So Junior went off and did a jungle record when jungle was happening. That was like 150 odd beats or some madness like that at the time. But I went in and I'm like, how do you do? And I just remembered Phil. It was like, oh my God. And everybody's like, yeah, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? Like, hey. That was Phil. Phil gave me tips. Phil gave me good insight. Phil was like a brother, right? From another mother who we didn't have to speak all the time. We didn't, because when we did, right, it was on top. It's great. So his passing, for the fans, I know it was great loss. And for those who like myself, loved him, an immense loss.